Welcome to today's show. And I've got a very, very special guest because I haven't seen him for about a year. And I was just thinking today, I'm sitting in Cape Town and it's First Thursday. And about a year ago, I had way too much brandy and coke on tap. Can you remember that, Johannes?
Yes. Welcome to Cape Town. Yes, and it's been a busy year.
Yeah, with me is Johannes, a young, very clever entrepreneur. Johannes is the founder of Brannas, and on a completely different note, the Duchess.
Yes, it's quite the opposite product.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
You know, Johannes, when I told you that I spoke to the Prince of Bavaria the other day, and he says there's only one other royal brewery in the world, and he mentioned some island in the Pacific, and then he says, wait, Prince Charles has just launched a brand, and guess what his beer is called?
The Duchess?
Yes.
Sure. Wow, we're going to struggle. We've at least our trademarks have been put into the UK, so we might have a head-on-head with Prince Charles.
So,
although he might have more right to it than we have.
But it is, I mean, it's kind of fitting for him, but it is interesting. I mean, if you have tried to protect the brand, what sort of steps have you taken?
Definitely. So, well, at least we're in a non-alcoholic category, so hopefully that gets us off. But yeah, we've recently launched in the UK with the Duchess, and we haven't had the Queen call yet. So I think we're all right for now.
Yeah, just to put you guys in the picture, Johannes phoned me just over a year ago and said, I'm launching this product and I don't know what I'm doing in the retail. But before that, you quite successfully launched Brannas.
Yes, so a bit of background on that. Brannas Draught is now almost 3 years old.
3 years already, okay.
2 years and 10 months.
Yeah.
I had this crazy idea to launch the first brandy and coke on tap. I had a lot of happy students and people saying it's the best thing since sliced bread, and obviously after two years and 10 months, I think I've had quite a lot of Brannas, but also learnt a lot through the process. And it's not that easy to launch brands, and especially on consumption brands.
Yeah, but tell me, I mean, what is your background? You weren't at Stellenbosch, like it just feels Brannas belongs in Stellenbosch?
No, I studied, I went to school in Cape Town at Jan van Riebeeck, and I studied at UCT, property investment. And in my second year at property investment, it was 2008, and the property market globally fell apart. So I think that was my first kind of kick in the bum to realize that this isn't just going to come easy, and you need to look for opportunities yourself. And I've always been quite entrepreneurial and liked ideas, so I decided to join a startup advertising firm. They gave me a few episodes of Mad Men, and that's how I learned what advertising was, and kind of self-taught, and we built that agency up to almost 15 people in the end. And I decided it was time for my own first product, and I kind of went through the notebook and I had this idea for Brannas Draught, which is brandy and coke on tap.
And to pull that off, I mean, I think for me it would be easy because I've got a network, but if you're starting from scratch, you don't know who makes brandy. Maybe you've heard Clippies and KWV, but how do you start something like that?
No, you're correct. With quite a lot of determination. I must tell you also, the brandy in a way was easier than the coke. Because at first I thought I was just going to buy Coca-Cola. And of course, when they said no, I went to Pepsi, and then I went to Bashu's. And then eventually they're like, but why don't you just go to a flavoring house and create your own cola? And I'd never heard of that concept.
Yeah.
So at least they put me in touch with the flavoring house, and we designed our own cola. And I think it was about 15 phone calls later, I got to somebody that was willing to sell me bulk brandy. And then, of course, 6 months later, we changed over to KWV.
Okay, so you didn't start off with KWV?
No, we didn't start with KWV. Yeah, we actually had a brandy. You mentioned Odom Willen, so we bought brandy from Odom Willen originally. And then, when KWV bought in, we switched over to our own blend of KWV 3-year.
Okay, but you say that so easily when KWV bought in that not every Oakie can do that. But how did you get convinced KWV to invest in your brand?
It was definitely easier the fact that they called us, so we had the upper ground. I think at that time, especially 3 years ago, it was a very grim outlook for brandy. I hear it's going better now this year. Very grim. I think especially the bigger brandy brands had lost touch with the younger market. People saw it as an old man's drink, and here we came and we actually made brandy cool and hip again. And the marketing guy saw that, and I think the first meeting I went in like my pluckies, and they were expecting a presentation, and all I did is I showed them a video of our launch party and said, do you want to be part of this or not, type of thing. So very cocky and upfront, but in the end we kind of realized that there's wins for both sides. They're connected to a young, youthful brand, and obviously we get access to their more authentic and established brand, but also to the millions of liters of brandy they've got in storage.
So you didn't.
So it ended up being a good partnership so far.
Okay, and they still invested. Is that a separate business, or how does it work?
Yeah, so that's a completely separate business. So Brannas Draught is completely separate to Duchess. Yes.
And you launched in bottles recently?
Yes, so Brannas launched in 440 ml bottles. We actually have just developed a sugar-free Brannas, so it would be the first sugar-free, ready-to-drink brandy and Coke on the market. So I'm quite excited to see what that does. And I think what's been great is obviously everything that I learned from Brannas I was able to use when launching Duchess, and then everything I'd learned from the retail side of Duchess I'm now able to again put back into Brannas.
Except that the profile doesn't match. So
exactly, it's just a completely different market, but at least it's some of the same suppliers and the bottlers and the distributors and things.
Yeah. And the success of the bottles compared to the draft, how's the response been?
I must tell you, so initially it was better because it's obviously something that I think is a bit of a niche product. We actually position, and don't laugh at me, but we position Brannas as a craft brandy and Coke. And that's actually in a sense what it is, because it's okay to drink Brannas, but it's not necessarily okay to drink brandy and Coke anymore for a lot of guys. So I think our loyal on-tap supporters love the idea of being able to take it home and to be able to have it with a bride home. So we've had a loyal following through that on the bottles, but the tap is still bigger sales. I think obviously just the fact that it's on tap still is the number one selling point. Yeah,
and that red tap, you're still using that red tap?
We still have a lot of them, so if it's not on a bigger tower.
I mean, I can clearly remember the first time when I saw Brannas in Stellenbosch in that pizza shop, I don't know what it was called, and I saw that red tap. I knew I had to buy one, even though I don't drink brandy and Coke, and for me, it just felt like the right thing to do.
It's been a fantastic journey, and like I said, obviously learned a lot. And, I think, and it's brought us to where we are now. I think we've got a lot of ideas still for Brannas going forward, and possibility of even some brand extensions. There's a lot of movement in the craft spirit scene, and we're trying to utilize the IP that we've built up, not to just think about Brannas as one product, but to think of it as a innovative spirit company. And so you might see some more brandy or spirit products coming from Brannas over the next few years.
And the change of ownership at KWV or is it like, are you on a different level?
I don't think it's been too. So we've been. It's been good that we're working with the same people that we worked with before. I think obviously their focus has changed a little bit. We're still a blimp on their radar, but we haven't had any problems with it. And KWV have been supportive throughout, so we're happy with that partnership.
And that, I mean, other brandy things, do you monitor the brandy market similarly, like the launch of Pero? Have you picked up anything interesting there?
I think, as I was saying about the craft brandy and Coke market, or concept even, I think things like the Pero branding launching is only good for us because it showcases that there is an independent scene for brandy, so very much the same as SAB ruled the beer scene. We can now see that the independent guys coming into the spirit scene, and people like the option to try new things. I love the Pero brandy branding and everything, and Marvo, who does the branding, has also helped a lot with our design, so there is a lot of correlation.
And then you started this Duchess. Where did that idea come from?
So when KWV came on board, we had a plan set out, and they started helping us with scaling, and I basically I decided, well, let me go look for what's next. Like I had an idea for a new challenge. Brannas was going on track, on plan, and I decided to go to Europe and to go and look at what the next drink trends are.
I go to Cape Town, you go to Europe.
Well, exactly. And then I actually went to go look for what the next alcoholic drink is going to be, because I was in the alcoholic sector. And then the one thing that I realized when I was there, besides the fact that gin is just 10 times bigger even in Holland in Europe than even in South Africa, they literally have a gin menu. Like you have a wine list, they have a gin menu at every single restaurant. And besides that, I actually realized that, well, looking for the next alcoholic drink might not be the right angle, because people seem to be drinking less and less, and talking about it and being conscious about it. And I just actually thought, well, what if we plus the two together? You get non-alcoholic beer, but why don't you get non-alcoholic gin and tonic? And it seemed like a great idea at the time, and it's one that stuck on my way back. I saw a lot of great new trends and ideas there, but that's the one that stuck. And when I got back, I went to my flavoring house and I said, well, this is a crazy idea. Can you guys do it? And we started working on samples and going through it. And after I think 3 or 4, I was like, wow, there's something here. It tastes like a gin and tonic, but it has no alcohol, no sugar. And I was almost ready to just go and present it to my investors just like that. And then I realized that it still needed, the gins were also at that time becoming more botanical, and people were adding different things. It wasn't just a London Dry, it had to be some Fynbos infused or local angle to it. And I realized my aunt actually had been making these botanical extracts for years, and she'd been giving it to us for presents, and we always used to drink it in gin and tonics and things, and she uses cardamom and cloves and orange peel and all-star and star anise. And when I added that to the base product that I had, I mean, it really just became a full product, and it was rounded, and it gave you the body of a good gin and tonic. And I think, that's when we decided, great, let's take this further.
And the design, I mean, the design is amazing.
Yeah, so I'm very lucky to work with, I think, one of the best designers in South Africa, Ines Smuts, who is a co-founder of the Duchess. He has always been able to kind of take my crazy ideas and make it look beautiful. So I think there's still a long future for us because I have a lot of ideas and he's very good at making things beautiful. But the idea behind the Duchess was to, where we felt things were going more and more complex and people wanted to almost over-design, to just take it back a notch and go minimal and really make it an elegant drink, because that actually leads me to the next part. So when we launched, we still thought, well, it's going to be quite a niche idea. I mean, people might want to drink less or are health conscious or for religious or personal reasons, not drink. But we didn't realize that there was actually this big movement that they call non-alcoholic adult beverages that was just starting and actually taking off across the world. And that there were actually a massive demand for products that are for adults but aren't filled with sugar or don't look like kiddies' soft drinks. So the look and the fact that it is a nice design, I would say, is almost 50% of the success of Duchess is because when you hold it in your hand, you don't feel like you're having anything less than and when you're in a social environment. We almost say it's kind of beyond alcohol. Yeah. Like, who cares about the alcohol? Exactly. It's like, it looks pretty, it's sophisticated taste, it's for adults. So, yeah, I think it's been a big help to have good branding. Yeah,
and I mean, my wife still sees it as a reward if I give her a Duchess or buy a 6-pack or 4-pack. You know, it's a big reward because she's not allowed to buy it all the time.
That's amazing. So it's then definitely that premium positioning of it is fantastic.
Yeah. And then, I mean, the trade embraced it. I remember your launch was at the gin bar, wasn't it? In
yes,
Cape Town.
The gin bar just around the corner from where we are here. I remember the day actually, myself and Ines went to go and do the sale 2 or 3 weeks before the launch. We thought, well, if these guys say it tastes like gin and tonic, then like we're in. And they loved it so much they actually said, well, why don't we do the launch there? And they're still a great client of ours. Okay. And we launched the Duchess at the Secret Gin Bar.
The Secret Gin Bar. Yeah. Okay, which sounds like it's. I mean, they sound a little bit snobby, and they probably choose which gin they stock.
Well, they are very, I think, curated, but I think not because of snobbiness, more with their love of gin, I think. So they only do 4 cocktails, all fantastic. So yeah, I definitely recommend also having a look at the Secret Gin Bar. Yeah,
and what is it? The journey, I mean, since you launched a year ago or so, you got into macro, you got into all the... Where else have you got into? I mean, that's...
Yeah, so we are currently stocked at over 650 retailers in South Africa, which includes Checkers, Macro, Pick n Pay, Spar.
Really? So Tops. You got into all of them?
So yeah, we're in basically all the key accounts. Also, Holger actually put us in touch with some of the best distributors in South Africa, and I think it's really been key in the success to use local distributors instead of just using one big national distributor and being able to tap into their personal relationships. And then obviously it was the perfect timing. It was September, it was just getting warm, and they just put everything behind it. And yeah, I think that's why that first December we sold 80,000 units in 3 weeks and sold out completely, and that was supposed to last us for the whole summer. So we had to quickly recalculate. But we're looking. We're launching. We just launched in the UK. We're looking to the US. We're exporting to Zimbabwe and Namibia. Namibia actually does very well.
Really?
Yeah. Like 800 cases in the last
mainly
month.
Through Spar or?
Mainly through Spar.
Or through a distributor?
We've got a distributor that owns Spars.
Okay.
Yes.
And how do you find it? How do you do the UK? I mean, do you just go to a show? Or?
So the UK has been an interesting process. Myself and Ines physically went there to go and meet with distributors, and in the end we were very lucky to be introduced to Love Drinks, which is a craft liquor distributor. And they only take on one brand per year, and they chose the Duchess as their brand of the year, which was fantastic. And yes, so it's been a massive learning curve with regards to exports and so forth. But we're very excited to see what it does. I think Duchess is quite a seasonal product. We saw it now with our first winter. But if you have obviously Northern Hemisphere and Southern Hemisphere, it's always summer.
Well, or Durban and
exactly. Although I don't know what's going on with Durban, guys. You don't like our Duchess.
It's too expensive for us.
It might be, actually. We have to look into that. But I think just Durban has got a very loyal following, and it takes a bit more time to build that your followers or fans.
I don't think so. I mean, I was just chatting to Ines, and I mean, we did one little Facebook post in one of the spas or topses that I work with, and the amount of response we got was unbelievable.
For Duchess?
Yeah, so I think it's probably, connecting, finding the market maybe.
Yeah, no, I think we need to talk.
Because it is a different market. Somebody once said to me, I think I told you a year ago, that you must design and launch your product in Cape Town, test the price in Durban, and sell it in Joburg.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because we are the discount and from our Indian heritage. No, we don't like to pay full price. So do you have to redesign your label and packaging for the UK, or can you just ship it like this?
Yes, so back labels, that's a big thing to know, that for each single country, the first thing you do, go to a label lawyer and let them...
A label lawyer.
A label lawyer. Yeah, that's what they're called, food label lawyers, and get them to... And they're not cheap.
I'm sure.
They're super expensive, but it's the best thing to do up front, so you don't...
And are there label lawyers in South Africa?
Yeah, there is actually a label lawyer in South Africa. I think we get away with more than we should, actually, but it is still important. So we went to a label lawyer here also to get everything correct. So we have to change that, and but basically it all stays the same. The only difference in the UK is we actually use a low sugar version, because we're not allowed to use xylitol, which is a very interesting. It's good to note for other beverage entrepreneurs that xylitol is not allowed in the EU in beverages. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And you weren't forced to take the Queen Mother off the front.
It's actually not the Queen Mother. It's actually our own Duchess, but we might have to fight Charles for it. So let's see.
Yeah, and you say you're doing something in the States?
It's still like just a thought.
Okay.
Yeah. So we actually looking at partners on that side probably next year.
To export or to make there?
It's a big question, actually. At the moment, we would start by exporting, but definitely as volumes grow, to look at local production. I think more with regards to the shipping time, because the cost of shipping isn't that much, but the fact that your product is sort of on the water for 8 weeks, that's a negative cash flow, which is quite difficult to keep.
Yeah, Johannes, and when we met last year in Cape Town, it's definitely you're part of a new generation of entrepreneurs, and I just tell the listeners, so you take an Uber to your office, which is what do you call these shared spaces kind of thing. You work out of a laptop, or with a laptop. You don't have a physical kind of presence. Everything's outsourced. And tell us a little bit about how you started that lifestyle, or is it just how this generation works?
Yes, I think it's about being flexible. I think it's about. I think a lot of the times people think that it's not as, or that the younger market or the younger entrepreneurs aren't putting in as much work as they used to put in. But I would actually go and say because you can operate from a laptop anywhere, you can sit at a cafe and do your business. I think it's got the misconception of being easy, but in actual fact, I think actually you need that amount of flexibility to be able to compete these days, because you need to be truly innovative, completely in touch with consumers' wants. You need to be on the ground. You can't be in offices away from your consumers. You need to be able to build a brand from the ground up. And it's been interesting. So I think it's also been possible because of, especially in South Africa, because of the craft beer market and the craft beer scene. So there's been more opportunities for contract packing, and there's been more opportunities for distribution for independent brands. And I can see it just moving in that way more and more.
And imagine launching this without social media.
Exactly. No, it's being able to own your own space and social media, and actually reach your fans at a price that a young brand can pay. I think has made a massive difference.
Yeah, I was interviewing and talking to the Barker and Quinn team recently, and I mean, for them it was the same. I discovered them probably like I discovered you on social media and connected on social media, and I mean, and that's how. I mean, she also admitted if it wasn't for social media, she'd probably still be only selling in Paarl and maybe in Stellenbosch.
Exactly. If you think about what a one print ad costs 30,000 rand, and what you can get for that, you can probably reach 1 million people for 30,000 rand on Facebook. But we are continuously also looking at integrating it more, and I think you should be careful for just believing that Facebook is everything. We're very active with in-store tastings, and we're very active with we just spoke about the possibility of doing much more CRM integrated events and activations. And I think it is easy if you've got a good product, it's easy to launch a brand and to continue selling at a sort of a alright rate, where it's a one-man show type of idea, and you're selling a few thousand liters a month. But I think it's quite a different story if you want to scale it to that mid-level, where you actually become a little bit competitive with the bigger name brands.
Yeah, isn't there somebody said good is the enemy of great?
Exactly.
And what would you say was the biggest challenge now in the launch of this product? I mean, you've often mentioned CRM to me, that there's no data and stuff like that. Yes,
I think, actually we've been very lucky with good word of mouth, and the launch in South Africa, I think I couldn't have faulted that. It's been just one major success. I think the biggest thing, and I mentioned it with the xylitol, was that we did a soft launch in the UK with the xylitol version, and only after signing our contracts with distributors, and nobody realized that the product had something in which was not permissible. In the UK, we had to reformulate a low sugar version, which actually has less calories than our xylitol version, so we might actually even introduce it in South Africa at a later stage. But we had to reformulate within 6 weeks to be able to still keep to our KPIs in the UK. So I think that's been the biggest challenge, and obviously learning curve for going forward. So speak to your label lawyers up front.
Yeah, and you've got a connection to Holland or the Netherlands?
Yes, my grandmother is Dutch.
Yeah,
and so I've been lucky to be able to get a Dutch passport through her. And I also spent a year as an exchange student in Holland when I was 15. So ik spreek een beetje Nederlands, but I've forgotten quite a bit of it. And I think you can, if you look at the design of Duchess, you can see there's definitely like a Delft blue royal inspiration.
Yeah. So and the word Dutch is got nothing to do with it.
Actually, it does. So the name comes from the two ideas that came up when we were brainstorming. The one is that, and I don't know if everyone knows that, but the gin actually comes from Holland.
So
they call it
that connection, yeah.
Yeah. So we were thinking Dutch, and then the second one is that when Koning Wilhelm took over the UK or England at that stage, they actually brought gin to Britain for the first time. And so we thought royalty, Dutch, and then just Duchess. And I think when we thought Duchess, it sounded right. It's got the right tone. We just kind of ran with it.
Yeah, it's a perfect fit. And going forward, have you got some great ideas that you can share?
I think I'm sticking to two babies at the moment with Brannas and Duchess, but we have exciting things. We're launching a new Duchess flavor next month, and I think that's going to do very well. Probably another flavor early next year. And then, I want to continue working on non-alcoholic adult drinks. I think there's a massive opportunity in that field, and to rethink adult drinks as not only being with alcohol, but to look at other ways.
Because there is only one other one, that's rock shandy.
Yes, exactly, and it doesn't work. And I don't know if you saw that Castle launched their non-alcoholic beer.
They did, and I haven't seen it. I've seen the adverts or the posters.
Yes.
And I was meeting with Flair Beverages yesterday, and they say that the Erdinger non-alcoholic is flying in Cape Town.
No, I'm sure it must do well, and that's why Devil Speaks also launched their non-alcoholic IPA. So it's definitely not the end of, or we'll be seeing a lot more adult non-alcoholic drinks, but we'll see. I'm very interested to see what people come up with.
I mean, that Brewdog's got an IPA, non-alcoholic IPA, and I really enjoy that, but it is very expensive.
Yes, obviously the imports and stuff. And if you think about it, the non-alcoholic, you don't have to pay the excise, so it should actually be making it more competitive. Well,
it's certainly an exciting industry, and I like the innovation that's coming out of this office, and I really enjoy seeing the creativity. I mean, so in terms of maybe just in closing, a brand like Brannas, going back, you said once that it hasn't really taken off in places like Stellenbosch and where traditionally, where is that working?
So Brannas Draught works on the East Rand in Johannesburg. Benoni Springs, Brakpan. No, it is definitely, and I think part of the reason I did look for something like Duchess is to have something that is scalable. Obviously brandy, and like we said earlier, brandy is actually picking up again with a rise of 5% this year, but brandy is a very South African thing, and especially mixing it with Coke, and as a startup brand, which it still is, in a field with old giants like AWV and Distal, we have to focus on the lowest hanging fruit. So I'm not saying that we won't take Brannas to other parts of, and we're actually in Durban now as well. We won't focus on it, but it's just for every R1 you spend in Johannesburg, you make a lot more than you do in Cape Town or Durban. So I think that's the reason we've been focusing there. And obviously, I don't know about taking Brannas to the UK, maybe at a few pubs with expats, but Brannas is one of those things that just had to be done. It's a local favorite, and hopefully it will continue to be part and have a growing fan base for years to come. But Duchess is something that I think can go anywhere in the world almost. So.
And it is kind of nice. I mean, for especially I think the younger generation and aspirational, not having to do the alcoholic beverages. Very
Exactly.
nice. It's been great talking to you. Thanks. And we look forward to some creative and innovative things coming from you guys.
Thank you, Holger. It's great speaking to you.
Thanks, Johannes.
Cheers.